I'm Detective Daniela Maldonado, and this is Behind the Badge.
I'm Officer Harold Ely, and welcome to Behind the Badge. Our youth are our most important product, and keeping our youth safe and keeping them off the street is important. With us today to talk about our youth are Susan Nesbitt. She is the Senior Program Manager of Keeping Our Kids Safe Targeted Outreach Program, and also Ms. Sabrina Jones, who is the Regional Manager of the Partnership on Youth Violence and Prevention. Thank both of you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Before we talk about your programs and how they help our youth, let's talk just a little bit about each of you. Why don't we start with, say, you, Sabrina. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
As I said, or as you said, I'm the Regional Manager for the Partnership on Youth Violence Prevention. I've actually been in this position for about 2 years now. Before that, I worked in community development in the neighborhood office for the city of Hampton. This job really gives me an opportunity to work on the capacity building, both on the youth and the community side. So this gives me an opportunity to do some of the grassroots level work in our community. So I'm very excited about being here.
All right. What about you, Susan?
I've been with the Department of Human Services for the last 3 years, and we were tasked by the city manager to operate a prevention program for youth. This program was a part of the Keeping Our Kids Safe initiative, which was started by the city manager probably about 3 or 4 years ago. My passion is to improve the lives of youth who may not necessarily be involved with the system. They may not have a juvenile record, or they may not have a problem in school, but they just need that little something extra to improve upon their development and their lives as they progress to become viable adults and citizens of the city.
Yes, yes, and that's what we are all about. Also, the police department, we work with the youth, and we like to partner with individuals such as yourself so that we can help our youth. So let's talk about your programs specifically. Why don't we start with you, Sabrina?
Sure. The partnership was actually created in 2006 as a result of the police chiefs, superintendents of the schools, as well as the sheriffs of 7 peninsula jurisdictions. They got together thinking that they had an issue with youth violence and gangs overall being the main focus of that. And as a result, they hired me in January of 2007 to kind of look into the problem, kind of pinpoint where it's coming from. It could be individual neighborhoods, it could be schools, but kind of looking at it from a comprehensive perspective. And so as I kind of worked with the problem, we saw that there was a significant increase in juvenile crime over about a 3 to 4 year period. We saw about a 21% increase in juvenile crime, some of which was tied to gang activity and some of which was individual behavior. And so that kind of spearheaded the reasoning behind creating this partnership and kind of where we were going to go with programs inside of that.
Okay. Well, why is there such a focus on gangs right now?
I think right now the gang culture is kind of taking hold in our communities. It's something that's been in existence, not just on the peninsula, but in the Hampton Roads communities for at least the past 10 or 15 years. But recently we've seen it where it's starting to be a little bit more glorified on the preteen and the teenage levels in the high school. It could be a result of the teenagers' need to gather and affiliate with someone over a common purpose. It could be lack of a family structure or, you know, camaraderie among a number of people. Whatever those reasons are, it seems that our society and our generation kind of promotes the gang culture a little bit more because some of the main specific things that may be missing from our young families.
Lack of family structure, that is always a big problem.
Absolutely.
So how do you address that issue?
Well, it really depends. If you have a young person who, in comprehensive violence prevention overall, what you do is you take the person as an individual, understanding what are some of the things that may put them into gang activity. And so if you have a young person who may be homeless, him and his family are homeless, they may not have any food, it's about linking them to programs that will fill those needs, trying to fill those gaps that the gang may fulfill, because you have to think, if you're a young person who doesn't have any money, may not have any new clothes and nowhere to eat on a constant basis, and a gang member offers them that, you know, it's going to be hard for them to say no. It's going to be difficult for them to say no. So what we want to do is try to fill those gaps that exist in their lives, which may lead them to gang behavior.
Okay, all right. Now I want to skip around a little bit because that sounds to me like that leads directly into the targeted outreach program. Is that right, Susan?
Exactly.
Okay.
Initially, when the targeted outreach program began in the latter part of 2006, gang prevention was our major thrust. As Sabrina mentioned, youth joining gangs was just phenomenal, and they joined for various reasons, as she mentioned. One of the goals of the targeted outreach program was to reach those children before they started to become interested or involved in gangs. We focused on several risk factors in children who may not fall under the radar of being a problem child. They may come to school, but they don't participate in class. They may not have any positive role models, or as Sabrina mentioned, they may have that broken family structure or a young family structure, which is one of the major risk factors. Also, socioeconomic issues. All of those things contribute to youth joining gangs. The targeted outreach program focused on youth who had those risk factors, and what we would do is to direct those youths and those families to services and programs to kind of alleviate those symptoms. If a youth did not have any positive role models in their lives, or if they came home from school and didn't participate in any type of activities, the targeted outreach program was there to refer them to maybe the Boys and Girls Club, or to link them with a mentor, or maybe to a community center such as Doris Miller or the Scott Center, somewhere where they can go and interact with other positive adults and youth so that they would not be susceptible to joining a gang.
Services, and we're talking about the services that you provide. Explain to me a little bit more about the services. How do you break those down?